Kayla, and today I'm here for you with the top 5 skills I learned from being in a sorority that helped me in life. So for those of you who don't know, I am a member of Kappa Alpha Theta. I served on exec in my chapter while I was there, and I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a sorority woman. I know I don't talk about it a lot on here, but it was something that was super important to my college experience, and I am excited to share some of the things it taught me with you guys. So I have a list of 5 things that I think are some of the most important that I took out of being in a sorority. They all kind of intertwine together for me, so I might kind of jumble up the 5 things together. So I'm going to kind of just give you a rundown of what the 5 of them are first, and then I'm going to go into a little more detail. So the 5 things that I think are the most important lessons I learned from being in a sorority are interviewing, commitment, time management, giving grace and respect to others, and loyalty. So those are the top 5 lessons that I think are important that I learned in a sorority. So I'm going to start with interviewing. If you watched my Freshman Fridays from forever ago where I talked about recruitment, you would know that, or if you've been through recruitment or if you know anything about Greek life, you would know that recruitment is basically an interview. You're just talking to other women, they're asking you questions, you're asking them questions. So that's how you get into a sorority, is basically a lot of interviewing. And so for me, that was a really, I hadn't done a lot of interviewing before getting to college, so being thrust into that situation where I had to answer all these questions, it was like a crash course in interviewing. But then on the other side, as a member, you then do the interviewing, but then also are still getting a little bit of an interview yourself, because girls are going to want to know, what's your experience like in the sorority, and, you know, how do you fit in here? How do you think, this relates to your sorority? How do you think the campus sees you? Things like that. So there's a lot of questions you get asked when you're the one doing the interviewing anyway, so it's a good practice for both sides of interviewing, which everyone in some capacity in their life is going to have to be interviewed or interview someone, so I think that was just a good skill that I definitely honed in on while I was in my sorority. Number 2 was commitment, and I'm going to kind of tie this one into time management too. When you join a sorority, you have a lot of commitments now. At least one meeting a week, at least one philanthropy a semester, and a lot of other events that come up. So number 3 was time management. So you have to get really good at managing your time to be able to keep up with all those things. But then you also have to be committed. You can't just be like, I don't feel like it. I just not today. You have to be committed to those things that you said you're going to do. So it's kind of a good lesson in committing to a task at hand, and committing to an event you're going to, and committing to yourself. I think joining Greek life is not only a big commitment to the organization that you're making, but it's also a big commitment to yourself, that you're going to take this experience seriously and put everything you have into it. So you learn a lot about commitment through being in Greek life. And like I was saying about time management, you now have to manage your class schedule, your sorority schedule, and any personal life things that you have going on as well. I was a theater major in college, so a lot of my major happened outside of the classroom. So obviously I had a lot going on that I had to balance between standard sorority member stuff, exec member stuff, and being a theater major, and then also just my other classes and having time to be a human. I really started using my planner a lot when I joined Theta, because it just became really important to manage my time well, and that's something you're going to get really good at, especially if you have a really time-consuming major. You will get really good at time management by being in a sorority. I promise you that. Number 4 was giving others grace and respect, and I think this kind of ties into the fact that sororities are a large group of women. Mine, at the biggest it ever was 105, I think, when I was in it, and the lowest was 80. So that's a lot of women, and there's a chance that you're not going to agree with everyone, you're not going to like everybody, you won't all see eye to eye on things, but you need to be able to give people grace and respect that they deserve as a human. And it's also, it feels even more so because they're your sister, and they have that title of being your sister, so you feel like you need to give them a little more grace and respect, even if they're not your favorite person. There were women in my sorority that weren't my favorite people. Obviously, when you're in a big group of women like that, you're not going to like everybody. But you have to give everyone respect, and you have to give grace to people who maybe don't do things the same way you do. I used to get really frustrated when people wouldn't put in as much effort as I would to things, even if they got the same result. I always would be like, but I'm putting so much effort into this thing, and I don't know why they aren't, and it's not like, I'm working so hard, why can't they just do this? And I think you have to be able to give people a lot of grace when you're in a situation like that, because not everyone's gonna do things the same way you do. So you have to just understand that, like, people are different and they're gonna get there a different way than you are. So you learn a lot about grace and also respect, and not only for others but for yourself. I think there's a lot of lessons. That's a whole other video I could do about how being a sorority woman taught me to respect myself. But it is also important that you do learn how to respect yourself, but the most important for this video is being able to give others grace and respect. And the last one was loyalty, and I think this also goes back to commitment in a way. You have to be loyal to this organization now, and to the ideal, and to the women in this organization. Even though you might not always see eye to eye, you become loyal to them, which I think is really important. And I feel like before being in a sorority, loyalty was kind of like reserved for family and very close friends. But now, having gone through Greek life and being in a sorority, I'm now loyal to certain causes. I'm loyal to people who I may not talk to very often, but I will still always be there for them and be loyal to them. I'm loyal to hundreds of thousands of women all around the world, which is so cool. And I'm very, very, very loyal to Theta, which is something that I didn't think I could be that loyal to an organization, obviously, but I am. And so loyalty is a really cool thing that I feel like I learned a lot more about through Greek life, that's going to help me in future endeavors, and being loyal to companies I work for and people I work with, which I think is really cool. So those are just 5 of the many, many lessons that being in a sorority taught me. I could go on for days about all the lessons I learned from being a Theta, but I wanted to limit it to 5. I am a firm believer that Greek life can be something great and wonderful if done right. Obviously, there are some things that have happened in chapters that are terrible, and there needs to be reform in some areas of Greek life, but I do believe that it can be great, and my experience was great, and I know most women I know their experience was great. So yeah, I think it's just important to talk about the positives as well. Obviously the negative things need to be talked about or else they will never change, but the positive things also need to be out there. So that's why I like to share my experiences with you guys, because I want to make sure people know there is also good in Greek life. So if there are things that you would like to see me do a video on about Greek life, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new. I upload a video on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and I would love to have you guys around, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload. Yeah, and as always, leave more suggestions for videos down below. I'm always open to your guys' suggestions. I wouldn't have this channel without ya. So I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!